My wife came out this month and I feel like I'm not allowed to be mad. My wife came out. She saw it fitting with it being June and all. Her dad recently passed. He was infamously homophobic, so much so he disowned my wife's brother for being gay. We have been together for 24 years. We started dating at 20 and married at 25. We're now 44 and 43. We had a family? 3 children from 16 to 10. Their lives are about to be torn apart thanks to a divorce. As I said, we started dating when I was 19 and she was 20. I gave her my entire youth. While my friends were out partying with other women, and experiencing their early 20s, I was in with my girlfriend. While my friends had finally made it out of college and started working and living alone with expendable income, I was married. When my friends were in their late 20s, early 30s, I was with my wife and our baby. All this was worth it, however. I loved my wife and was willing to give up those things to be with her. The sacrifice was worth it. She didn't though. What I thought was 2 decades of bliss was agony for her. Forcing herself to be okay with time with me. We only made love once or twice every few weeks. I drove myself crazy trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. It's just that she didn't want me. I'm mad. I'm furious with her and hateful toward her. I get it. She was so far into this lie that it was difficult to find a way out. However, she still lied. She lied to me for nearly a quarter of a century. I built my life with someone who I thought wanted to be with me on a lie she fed me. I gave over half of my entire life. I gave her my everything and she didn't even want it. And now she expects me to understand. She wants for me to be supportive, and to not see her as a villain in this. I can't. What she did is villainous. What she has done is worse than cheating. This is heartbreaking and I can't help but hate her. But I can't. I have to keep a unified loving front for my kids. So they can still view their mother with love and not as the villain she was being to me. I just hate this and her. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, there is literally zero reason this shouldn't greatly upset you. Redditor 2, you're allowed to be mad, man. Screw everyone who says you have to support her and not show emotion. You're allowed. I'm ready for the negative downvotes. Redditor follow-up, honestly just this. I understand where she's coming from, but what she did was still manipulative, and has major negative repercussions. I'm sorry this happened to you, Op. Please definitely be upset. Please find a way to vent this out healthily and find someone to talk to. Redditor 3, she wants for me to be supportive, and to not see her as a villain in this. I can't. What she did is villainous. Tell her that. You can be happy she's finally free enough to be herself, but she just decimated half your life. She's a villain to you? She has to live with that. Redditor follow-up, it's okay to be gay, it's not okay to lie to someone for years and years, regardless of how hard it is to tell the truth. Story 2, I married my wife for her money. I have been with her for her money from the moment we started dating. I treated my relationship with her like a second job. I tried to be perfect in every way until I asked her to marry me. After contacting a lawyer, I was planning to get a divorce within 2 to 3 years. But I fell in love with her and she truly changed me from the selfish asshole I once was. She gave me a family. Our 8th wedding anniversary is next month. And I still feel guilty to this day. Edit, for the people asking. I do have a job. I never cheated on her or treated her badly, and I know that I don't deserve her. Side note, the KKK lady in the top comment isn't my wife. Redditor's reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, I have an 8th anniversary next month too. He is the perfect guy that has given me an amazing family. Sometimes I feel like he wants to get something off his chest though, but I'm sure it's nothing. Redditor 2, thanks for sharing. I am happy for her that it ended this way. And obviously never tell her if you want to stay with her. It's the most selfish thing people do to off their own guilt by coming clean and ruining the life of the other person. I can't believe there are people here suggesting that. Must be teenagers. Definitely not married. Go to therapy. Redditor follow-up, exactly what I was thinking. The trust would be 100% broken, and even if op changed, it's not going to matter because she will question the entire marriage. Redditor 3, don't ever tell her. Consider the guilt you're feeling your punishment. If you tell her you'd feel relieved, but you'll be punishing her instead, and that's just selfish. The reasons you got with her are not the reasons you are with her right now. Keep being the best husband you can be. Story 3, I have cheated on my husband and the guilt is killing me. My husband M50 stopped having time with me F39 about 9 years ago. At that time he had health issues that we thought was prostate cancer, and I just had a late and painful miscarriage. We both were traumatized because of our experiences and stopped having time. We never stopped showing our love though. We still kissed, hugged and cuddled the moment we got home. After a while, about 1.5 year, I started initiating time again. He was very avoidant in the beginning and tried to blame it on many things, including what we went through. I asked him if he maybe should talk to a therapist, but he said he just needed time. We tried a bit, and after 2 half attempts I stopped trying because I felt unwanted and embarrassed. I stopped feeling desired and saw myself as ugly and unattractive. He never stopped loving me or showing me that with kisses and touching. Until about a week ago I still fell asleep in his arms every night. I noticed that he didn't have physical issues with getting hard, and it made me feel worse about myself for some reason. It must have been me he didn't want, or time in general. When I turned 35 I realized I'm probably never going to have children and accepted that fact. We got each other great jobs. So I busied myself with the material things. We're both high earners, so we bought our dream apartment, built our dream lake house, expensive cars and designer stuff. And I was happy and content. The problems started again about 3 years ago. I wasn't satisfied and I told him I wanted time. Nothing was enough for me anymore. Not the cuddling or the love or the material things. He said it wasn't me, he just didn't want time. He was content with what we had, and I should feel lucky that we have found love and a great life with each other. He didn't want to get a divorce and begged me to just find some other hobby. Many married people don't have time, and very few are as happy as we are his exact words. I told him I wanted to separate, but he refused and asked me to go to counseling with him instead if I promised not to talk about time or divorce in our sessions. After 2 appointments I stopped going. He was right. I loved him very much and he loved me, and I didn't want to lose the life we built together. Instead I started working out more, taking piano lessons, climbing lessons, etc., and before COVID we traveled all over Asia. When COVID hit and we were home for the majority of the time, I started fantasizing about other men. I am very beautiful, and even being almost 40 I still got a lot of attention from men. That was something I was aware of before but never interested in. Now I suddenly was. I found myself loving the attention, and not immediately rebuffing men who approached me. This got worse when after COVID, my company started hiring many new people. Right before Christmas, one of the new colleagues, a very handsome 30-something-year-old man, was not shy about how beautiful and attractive he found me. I was overwhelmed at first, but secretly I loved his attention and fantasized every night about him. After a couple of months and some outings with him and other colleagues, I started talking to him more than any others. Last week, we were on a work trip to London. Me, him and two 50-something-year-old ladies who weren't interested in taking a drink before going to the hotel, so I spent all my evenings with him instead. One of these nights he was drunk and bluntly told me what he in details wanted to do to me and asked me to go to his room with him, and I was just living my fantasy and said yes. Halfway through our session, I don't know what came over me, and all I could think of was my husband. I told him to stop and just left. This was a week ago. Now I can't bear the guilt I'm feeling. I'm so disgusted with myself, and I hate everything about me. I'm a cheap, cowardly, pathetic human being. I have moved to the guest room because I can't let my husband touch and cuddle something so filthy and disgusting. I can't bear falling asleep in his arms, and I don't feel I deserve him. I don't know why I'm writing this, but I needed an outlet. Feel free to be disgusted with me, because you will never be as disgusted as I'm. When I was fantasizing about cheating, I never considered my conscience or my love for my husband. I totally forgot these two very important feelings. Please, before acting on your lust, just take one step back and consider what you're going to lose. I have lost the love of my life because I was HMNI. I can't keep this a secret because the guilt is killing me, so I'm telling him tonight. Update. Thank you everyone for all the comments, although I don't deserve the kindness and understanding so many of you have shown me. I have kept my word and told my husband yesterday. I saw immediately in his eyes that I have lost him, and if guilt felt so bad yesterday, the way he looked at me made it 100 times worse. He didn't say much. I didn't try to explain myself or blame anyone but myself. I told him that I was sorry. He is still at work and he's probably not coming home today. I have lost my best friend and true love. Redditor's reactions, story 4 after. Redditor 1, please go talk to a therapist, one you trust and are completely comfortable with. For the love of God, don't take random advice from people on Reddit. Answer, I will eventually seek therapy. My husband didn't want me talking about our S-time life to therapist. It was very important to him, and I didn't dare to do it behind his back because I didn't want to hurt or embarrass him, but I ended up doing something 1,000 times worse. Redditor 2, considering you've already expressed wanting separation, him not wanting you to address S-time in counseling, and the fact you moved into the guest room, he might put 2 and 2 together, but regardless, I'm happy you're telling him. Answer, I told him I had an important week at work and needed my sleep. He's a snorer. Redditor 3, 100% you should not have cheated, you should have divorced a long time ago. To some, S-time isn't important. To others, it is. Your love language is different from his. You need intimacy with a partner, you cannot hide or run from that. A S-timeless faithful marriage only works if both are willing to commit to that. It's been 9 years, and you are still not feeling fulfilled without S-time. The best thing you can both do is to move on. Redditor follow-up, to some, S-time isn't important. To others, it is. Your love language is different from his. You need intimacy with a partner, you cannot hide or run from that. As time you will hear, indifferent to S-time, and don't quite feel the need like others do, nor does my self-esteem or worth get tied to it. Yet I'd never ask someone to give up time if it was important to them. This is absolutely will always be subject of frequent, constant communication with any partner I've had or will have. Just because it's not a big deal to me doesn't mean it isn't for my partner. And I have to understand that, if we ever hit an impasse on the subject, it is completely fair and right for them to move on, for both us to be happy. Your husband isn't being fair at all to you or your needs. At all. If he isn't willing to find compromise that you like, or therapy, or work this out in any form, do yourself a favor and find someone who will. This is clearly an important part of a relationship for you, and you deserve to be happy in your relationship. Story 4, after 18 years of marriage, I just found out that my children aren't mine. My wife Kelly and I have known each other for over 20 years, and have been married for 18 years. We have 17-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, and I found out that they aren't mine 2 days ago. My kids got those ancestry tests for the family, and we found out that I am not their father. Kelly and I met each other as co-workers at a job right out of college. We both were very ambitious, so after working for a couple of years, we decided to start our own business. We fell in love, and a year after starting out business, we got married. A couple of months into marriage, we had a massive fight over the direction we wanted to take our business in, and I left our home. She came to me a couple of weeks later, and we compromised. We've been inseparable ever since. Kelly got pregnant around that time. We've been through thick and thin, our business has been through several hardships, but we weathered them together. We were always there for each other, we could always depend on each other. I loved her so much. She was a part of me and I couldn't even imagine a life without her. I trusted her absolutely until this happened. Kelly has been crying and apologizing constantly. She told me that during the time we had that fight at the start of our marriage, she got drunk one night and slept with a random guy, and that she has not cheated on me since. The betrayal has left me disoriented. I told Kelly I needed time to process this, and I'm currently staying at a hotel. I don't know what I'm even doing anymore, the last 2 days have been a blur. I feel like a zombie, completely unable to feel or process anything. I don't intend to abandon my kids, I might not be their father, but I'm still their dad and I love them dearly. Right now, I'm sitting on my hotel bed and I have not eaten anything today. My thoughts are a mess, so I'm writing this down to help me process. Kelly has always been a great wife, and an excellent business partner. I don't know if I'll be able to look at her the same again or if I'll be the same person again. I don't know how to move forward. Redditor's reactions update after. Redditor 1, 18 years, 18 years. Redditor 2, we were on a break. Redditor follow-up, besides the friends reference. This seems like the we're separated topic from yesterday. This is the result in 18 years. Redditor 3, I found out my dad wasn't my dad after taking the Ancestry DNA test. My mother said she doesn't remember. Edit, she said she doesn't remember who my father is. After I asked her, she blocked me on social media, and hasn't had contact with me in over 3 years. Redditor follow-up, my aunt went to her grave without telling my cousin who her real dad was. We mostly suspected she didn't know she was severely alcoholic when my cousin was conceived. But she basically maintained it was one guy who it couldn't have been, and never changed her story. Finally my cousin did Ancestry or 23andMe and found a guy who didn't know my aunt's name but recalled an encounter outside of a disco bar where my aunt frequented. And my cousin is his spitting image. Not to mention her half-siblings are startlingly identical to her. Update: after 18 years of marriage, I just found out that my children aren't mine. Thank you for the overwhelming response I got on my post. I just wrote it down to clear my head and get my thoughts in order. The day after my post, I called my children and told them I loved them. They were scared that I might leave them. I told them that they're still my children even though I'm not their biological father, and that I won't be abandoning them. I just needed to think about my relationship with their mother. I saw several comments telling me that they're not my children because they don't have my DNA, but it matters very little to me. I raised them and they're my children. I spent thinking about how to move forward with Kelly after that. I was angry that she hid the fact that she slept with someone else after we got married. I calmed down and really thought about the whole situation. I really wanted to call my lawyer to talk about separation, but I kept thinking about our life together, so I decided to talk to Kelly and give her a chance. I called her and went back home the next day. My kids were thrilled to see me and we spent some time together. Kelly and I went up to our room after that. I didn't speak to her properly since we saw the results. I gave her time to talk. Kelly told me that it had never even occurred to her that the kids couldn't be mine. She told me that when we had the fight early in our marriage, she was angry at me leaving over a business dispute, and after waiting for me to return, she went to a bar one day and got wasted. She picked up some guy and didn't remember much that happened that night. The guy was gone before she woke up the next day and she felt extremely guilty after that. She wanted to tell me but was afraid that I would leave her. To be fair, I was a hot-headed and stubborn guy back then, so I probably would have filed for a divorce without a second thought. To her, it was a drunken mistake that would never come out, so she didn't want to risk our marriage. And I would have never found out about it if she didn't get pregnant that night. She broke down multiple times and apologized constantly throughout the conversation. I believe her story. Kelly has been my rock and partner throughout my life, and I wouldn't be where I am today without her. We trusted each other absolutely. This ordeal has made a massive dent in my belief in her as a wife, but I still trust her as a partner. We had long conversations about our future and I told her I was willing to give us a chance. I made it clear that we might not succeed and I might leave, but I was willing to try. I assured my children that no matter what happened with my marriage, I would always love them and be their father. We decided to give marriage counseling a try. My wife asked a therapist friend of hers and she recommended a counselor. We have appointments starting next week. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, that's both a heartbreaking and heart-reaffirming story. You are a very strong man to be able to deal with this. It warms my heart to know that your love for your kids transcends DNA. You were there for their skinned knees, sickness, soccer wins, all of it. DNA doesn't matter. The accepted love of a good father is all that matters. You are a good man, and whatever you and Kelly work through or eventually decide on, you have everybody's love and health in your heart and care. Redditor 2, good luck my man, but she never even thought that there could be a possibility they weren't yours by the convenient timing. Seems like she knew it was definitely a possibility by her reaction and only confessed when she was caught. Personally, it would take a lot for me to be able to build that trust again, if at all. If that's what she did after your first fight, what did she do after the others? Redditor follow-up, let's cut the crap. She 100% knew there was a possibility. She had no way of tracking down the one-night stand guy, so she just kept quiet. Redditor 3, 18 years. 18 years. And on the 18th birthday you found it wasn't his. Kanye? Redditor 4, she wanted to tell me but was afraid I would leave her. To be fair, I was hot-headed and stubborn back then, so I probably would have filed for divorce without a second thought. I'm gonna level with you here, dude, as there's a lot of aggressive and insensitive comments on here given the mental state you are in. But I'm gonna frame the paragraph above to you from a different perspective. She said that the thought never crossed her mind that the pregnancy could be the other guy's at the time. But if she was willingly and actively trying to keep it hidden from you, like she admits, then surely the possibility would have crossed her mind at least once. But the thing that makes this even worse, in my eyes, is that she openly admits she took your choice away from you. She knew she had been unfaithful, and that you wouldn't react well to the news. Any man or woman has a right to be angry in those circumstances. If she had chosen to give you that knowledge, you could have then acted how you saw fit, to make a decision on your future, when you learned she was pregnant with another man's children. Instead, she chose to lie. Now the last 18 years of your life has a dark cloud hanging over it. That's an incredible amount of time to take from someone. Like people have said in other comments, you are a better man than me because in my honest opinion you have every right to be angry and not give her a chance or a choice in the matter. She never gave you one. Redditor follow-up, she definitely had the thought, if I tell him, what if he thinks the kids are not his biologically? What if the kids aren't his? A million times over since the birth as well. No way, that's never crossed her mind. I respect your decision, Op, but I personally don't think the truth has fully surfaced yet. There's more to the story.